They're not calling him La Sex Gods with Sammy Guevara. They're just calling him Jericho and Guevara. And we're going to get into all of the Jericho shit, circling back to that. So earlier in the show, I told you guys that Jericho got booed mercilessly at the pay-per-view, and they were chanting NDA and Kylie Ray at him. We're about to dive into all that. Shout out my man Marv the Movie Monster, Marvin the Monster. Shout him out at Movie Marvin. That's my guy. Look out for collabs with us and some content in the future. I'm going to get him on the podcast here soon. He's a puppet. I'm friends with literal fucking Muppets and puppets now. Here's a song he made. We'll kick it off with this while I get hydrated here. Here is a goat in my mind, and this song came out before all these accusations started coming out, and you know, before all these accusations came out and all of this. You guys get the gist of it. So while I fiddle around and diddle on my phone, so luckily that song for Jared, well, not luckily, I guess, but you know, he could have had, Marv Movie Monster could have had What Have I Become? Oh look, yeah, I'll let him play while I talk. You know, he could have had more ammo because this song came out before the fucking accusations even hit. Now Tony is and which we're gonna get into, but ideas in my mind. Is there someone left for me to be on the roster Wednesday night? Jericho. So what happened here is on Christmas Eve, Jericho had a fucking melty. He had a melty, and I'm gonna pull it up here. And okay, after getting roasted by Black Twitter, Marv's still going. He did this parody's too long. I enjoy them. I enjoy them all, and all of his bars are solid. Like none of them are weak, but it's just like it's just too long of a parody. He went like the full fucking beat. Just cut him down. Do him 2 minutes. You know. So Jericho had a melty on Christmas Eve. So people are saying he's probably drunk. He's probably whatever. And I didn't talk about this on the last episode because this happened, I think, that the night after or whatever. But basically, Stephen P. New. So this is on Christmas Eve, on December 24th. So I didn't see this until after my podcast or whatever the fuck. Or maybe I did talk about it last. I don't know. But we're talking about it now because it all ties together. So basically what happened was Stephen P. New so this website called @WebIsJericho. So they're like a website, they're like bjpen.com, like they just do random news, like Jericho owns it, and it's just random people just post news and shit, and they don't, you know, they just post whatever headlines are, copy and paste story type shit, right? So this thing says here, @WebIsJericho tweets out, CM Punk and Ace Steel's lawyer reveals only person involved in Brawl Out without an NDA. And it's Ace Steel's wife. So it's revealed, you know, that Ace Steel's wife refused to sign an NDA. Which she doesn't have to sign shit. She doesn't work there. Fuck all that. And then Jericho quote tweets this Web is Jericho site and goes, I didn't sign one, ... So like just interjecting himself into this weird shit. Like why does he need this attention? Like it's weird. It's gross. Now I love Jericho. He's a goat to me, man. I like for sure, but this shit is just it's Hulk Hogan-y, bro. He is the Hulk Hogan of our generation for sure. Which I'm not, again, take that as a compliment. You know what I mean? I'm not out here shitting on Jericho's legacy or anything like that. And he does know how to get just ridiculous shit over. But anyways, he goes, I didn't sign one. So Stephen P. New responds to this and goes, it's in your employee handbook. Unless you have a special one, we can figure it out. So Jericho responds to this with a fucking melty, bro. He just snaps and he goes, hey, @Stephen P. New, I don't adhere to an employee handbook and have never had one in 4 years of working for AEW. I've also never signed an NDA in my life ever. That is fucking cap. I'm telling you that right motherfucking now, dude. There is no way that that is true. Okay? So he goes, so Jericho continues, so stop trying to be a bully and making egotistical fantasy brags for your clients and start doing some research before you make blanket statements about your buddies. That's a lot of protection, Jericho. Jesus Christ, especially if you're on the side of the Buckaroos, Doug. So Jericho continues, because I saw everything that night, including how Lucy and her husband and best buddy acted and what really went down. And since I was in the room, he's talking about hold on, guys, he's talking about Jericho's wife. I mean, he's talking about Ace Steel's wife, bro. Now, Jericho is the last motherfucker who should be talking about other motherfuckers' wives. Go on Jericho's wife's Twitter. That's all I'll tell you guys. And hey, it's not even politically, don't care. You guys know how I am. Hey, vote right, vote Donald Trump, don't care. Vote Biden, don't care. I don't care about any of that stupid shit. This is what it is. She's like dabbles into the deep territory. Like she goes hard. Like she's a person who's like, that's her whole personality is her politics, which is, I find that cringe. Absolutely. And, but do you, but I'm just saying like, that's her whole life is just that, you know, seemingly. And, which either side, I don't care. Oh, if your whole life's Biden, that's cringy. If your whole life's Trump, that's cringy. If your whole life's any of these weird cringe lord fucking politicians, bro, that's cringy in my mind. So anyways, though, go look at her Twitter. Like, don't be talking about people's wives, dude. That's crazy. And then especially with what ends up happening. And this is where no one's taking this angle. Okay. With all the accusations and all with how deep and dark all this shit is about to get here as we get into it more and more. But no one's taking the angle I am, where it's like, here's the thing is he evoked this man's wife, Lucy, like by name. And then this shit comes out with his wife where it's like, you shouldn't, and like with what he's doing. And it's like, you shouldn't have done that. You know, it just, this like, I almost find it to be karma for that is what it is. You know, I don't like, I'm not so deep because like, yeah, the accusations we're about to get into, but there's not like a substantial crazy amount of evidence to where we can like be like, oh, condemn him, you know, innocent until proven guilty, but which we'll dive more into as we go. But with him bringing up Lucy here in this tweet, it's like, this is the karma for that. I'm so sorry. But so Jericho says, because I saw everything that night, including how Lucy and her husband and best buddy, so Ace Steel and Punk, acted and what really went down. And since I was in the room and watching her and everybody else the whole time, Jericho, you weren't in the locker room. So you don't know, like, okay, Jericho, you're on camera slapping a woman. You understand me? You're on camera slapping a woman in the fucking face. Okay? When people are taking pictures of you and you're trying to get in a car, dude. Did you act in what really went down and you're disgusting? Jericho goes on to call these people disgusting. Were you disgusting? Or in context to the situation where there are people like assaulting you, dude, and they're shoving shit in your face and you can't get in your car and they're saying fucked up shit, and this woman puts her fucking hands on you and then you fucking and I'm not condoning that, but like in context to that scenario, you weren't being a fucking scumbag. Although that's crazy, you'd fucking open hand slap a woman. I think that's fucking crazy, but it's like, you don't know Lucy. Jericho, you saw them in the hallway brawling. So you don't know what went down in that room to where now, guys, okay, let's finish with, okay. There's a lot to get to here. Anyways, extra long episode, PWT, yeah. So Jericho, though, he doesn't know, like, he just saw in the hallway. So saying they acted disgusting, like, you don't know what was going on to where it's disgusting act or not, because you didn't see what happened in that room. Do you know what I mean? reaction rather, because it's all a reaction. What everyone can agree on is the Bucks ran up in that room aggressively, everyone, and even me. I've heard some insider shit that I'm whatever. I don't go based off, but I'll tell you guys in a minute what someone was telling me who insists, and this is a pretty reputable person as far as I'm concerned, and I'll talk about this in a minute, who we were debating this whole Jericho shit and what really happened at Brawl Out and stuff. And okay, so anyways, let's move along here. So Jericho says, I was in the room and watching her and everybody else the whole time. I know exactly what really happened. And considering you weren't there and I was, maybe you should shut your mark ass up, because what really went down was disgusting. And it's like, so you're calling this guy's wife fucking disgusting. Sorry, I'm screen grabbing this for the thumbnail. You're calling her disgusting. I mean, it's crazy. Like, what did she do? What the fuck did this Lucy girl do? Yelled and told them to stop fighting? Or maybe she was pulling hair. They jumped Punk, bro. That's what happened. Everyone can fucking try and act like that didn't happen. That's what happened. So, I don't know, man. I just think this was unhinged of Jericho to say. And then Stephen P. New responds and goes, "Thank you, Chris. We will just attach this tweet as Exhibit A. Merry Christmas." And yeah, I mean, this is just, if Jericho's not signing NDAs, then it means, and I got in a big debate with this with a person who, there's somebody who runs a YouTube channel that's a wrestling YouTube channel. I have to be vague about this because I just told them I wouldn't stooge. But there's somebody who runs a big pro wrestling YouTube channel, and it's a very unique and awesome channel that I love. And this person, behind the scenes, they make great content and videos. And this person tagged with a nameless, I'm not going to say it because you can just search it up, but they tagged with people in NXT before they were in NXT and stuff, this person. And this person is very, neutral, but this person knows people who were there during Brawl Out. And this person told me that what happened was the Bucks story, and this person is very much not a fan of Punk, just on a personal level. So, and I was speaking with this person for hours about this whole thing, and they are not a big fan of Stephen P. New either, and they think they were threatening Jericho here and stuff like this. So we were on opposite sides of the aisle when it came to this. And what this person told me via people they know who witnessed all of Brawl Out was apparently the Bucks, they went up to Punk's door, they checked if it was open. It was open. So they barged in. They were hot, they were heated. They stood over Punk. When Punk tried to stand up, one of the Bucks hit Punk and rocked him, like sat him down, type of thing. Like didn't KO him, but like rocked him and sat him down. And then that's when Buck sprung back up, started throwing, snapped. Everyone starts throwing. Ace Steel run, like the wife screaming. Ace Steel runs in the room. Kenny grabs the dog, all that shit. Now, and this person believes that these NDAs, these lifetime NDAs, so now it's come out that Tony Khan had Ace Steel sign and CM Punk sign lifetime NDAs, and Cody did the same thing, and we've talked about it on the show, man. It's bullshit that you have lifetime fucking NDAs when, I don't know, these guys can't go do shoot interviews even, ever. Like, it's bullshit on Tony Khan's behalf, man. If Vince was doing this, y'all would crucify him. But anyways, so the thing with that version of the story that I find hard to believe is just by everyone's account, like the dirt sheets and everything, the Bucks barged in, and even including this, like this homie's account of it is he's saying they tested the door and it was open, so they went in there hot. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I fucking, that's some bullshit. Like, you can't be doing that, especially when you're an executive vice fucking president. And this man argued, like, oh, well, it's always happened. And I'm like, I don't think Booker's ever really shot on people. And he pointed out a few way in the past that have in like the 70s and 80s and shit. And it's like, okay, that's a long time. I don't think you just shouldn't be acting that way in 2024. Let's be real here. But you also shouldn't be a bitch if you get smacked around. But anyways, my whole thing is that everybody said that Nick Jackson got rocked or like KO'd with a fucking chair or whatever. Like one of them got rocked really bad and they got their asses whooped. Like according to a lot, like Jim Cornette knows people who witness shit too. And he says almost the opposite of that. But this person theorizes that Homeboy got, like when Punk got punched and dropped, it's like an ego thing. Like he wants the NDAs in place too because he doesn't want to talk about it because he doesn't want anyone to know that he wants to win a fight. Punk wants people to think he can really fight and he's never won a fight. So that, and I'm just like, that's just getting conspiracy theory about it, bro. Like, I just don't think, I'm sure one of the Bucks cheap shot at him and sat him down. That's nothing to be ashamed of. You know what I mean? We've all, well, maybe not all been there, but if anyone knows, like if someone's got the leverage on you and they, like, you know, so you got to pretty much just spaz out at that point. Otherwise they're going to keep you down. So, yeah, I don't know. So, and then he felt as though Stephen Pinu's threatening fucking Jericho, but it's not, bro. He's just like, this is exhibit A. Like, okay, is AEW lying? Like, are people under NDAs and does their handbook have confidentiality agreements or do they not? So Brian Last went on the Jim Cornette show and he fucking read the shit. It leaked. He put a picture of it. What the confidentiality, I'm not going to read it because it's a bunch of fucking jargon, legal jargon and shit, but it's in there. And if Jericho's above that, which some people think he is, people think he's like invested in the company and shit. And if some people are, which obviously he is, but if some people are like, are above those rules, then there you go. That's what I mean. Like it's just a weird culture. There's just weird shit going on. And obviously whatever the Bucks did, they were just in the wrong, period. That's just what it was. Like, no matter how you cut it. Okay. Yeah. Punk's a dick for snapping on them. I just re-listened to that. I was listening to the Jim Cornette, Brian Last shout them out. I was listening to the omnibus of Punk there and re-listening to Punk's, you know, rant at that Brawl Out. Like it was everything just in hindsight. It just makes so much sense and it's evident, you know, like it's just so obvious. And for Jericho to do that, I don't know, he goofed up and then everyone was roasting him in the IWC basically. So then people, now I don't want to say people were started digging on, like, I don't want to say people started digging shit up on Jericho, right? But people were definitely, like, the eyeballs are on him and people are upset and people are saying like, dude, you went crazy and all this shit. And so, like, for instance, Jim Cornette responded to him, speaking of Jim, and he goes, at the Jim Cornette goes, God, Chris, it's Christmas. Slap Tony's dick out of your mouth. You've got his dad's money the next 10 years, and the Buckaroos will still let you play with the cool kids. You don't have to tell the truth. Just quit lying. Punk is sorry he made a difference in AEW business, and you haven't. And it's like, damn, dude, fucking, I don't know though. Jericho has made a difference in the business, but not in the long run. And in the short term at the beginning, he did. But Punk was making long term, he's having a long term effect overall on shit, bro. 100%. Just look how many people fell off once he left. So Jim Cornette responded to that. And then other people were responding. So here, sorry, I'm scrolling around trying to organize these. So Dave Meltzer, Dirty Dave, gave his thoughts on this shit. And then we'll go back to the tweet. So Dave goes, So somebody quoted and said, wasn't Jericho in the, this is on Dave's message board. So one of his stands goes, wasn't Jericho in the press conference when this was going down? Alluding to Brawl Out. And Meltzer goes, no, people are saying that. I was in the same vicinity, saw the policeman running right past the press room, close enough that the idea somebody broke down the door was laughable as we'd have heard it. Okay, fair enough. You don't have no. Okay, I don't believe for a second they broke or kicked the door down. I never thought that. I just felt they barged right in, which someone can barge in and you wouldn't have heard it. It was well before Jericho came. Also, when Jericho came into the press room, the first thing he did was whisper to Tony Khan about what had just happened, which was the first Khan learned of it, and then was amazingly professional in answering everyone's questions and not letting on about anything. Fucking Jericho. So then someone says, I'd argue the contrary. Executives have to hold themselves to a higher standard. If an employee or contractor acts like an idiot, this is what someone's saying too, Dave. You don't act like an idiot with them or on their level. The proper play on that day would have been to walk away and address it later with cooler heads. Seeing as Punk was high paid with Tony's support, they should have gone directly to Tony, not to Punk. By confronting CM Punk in an agitated state, they were not acting as adults, or more importantly, as executives. And then Dave said, are we forgetting Punk said that if anyone has an issue with him, his door's open? And this was maybe 30 minutes earlier. Granted, I know to defend Punk in this situation and make Mega the heel, we have to pretend this never happened. But unfortunately, I was in the room where he clearly said it. Yeah, but the thing is why would the EVPs with their friend, who's like a talent relations guy, and a lawyer run in there for a fight? Like, what the fuck kind of weird, like, that's just a whole weird scenario. Like, if you can't see that, you're fucking crazy. But anyways, also, if Dana quit because Tony took Punk's side in the brawl, why did she stay so long and why did the Bucks re-up? Okay, and then Dave goes, her contract expires at the end of the year. She turned down a new deal. She was living up to her contract. Fair enough, but you guys tried to make her the victim and shit, so which is it, Dave? Is she a victim or is she just letting her time run up? Someone else said to him, he was involved with the wacky Undertaker floats to heaven angle at the Royal Rumble. I don't think he blew up at Vince for exposing the business. And then in reference to Cornette, and then Dave said, Cornette hated that and was very public about it to those he knew. There you go. Thank you, Dave. There are a million things you can say about Cornette, but saying he went along with that one willingly isn't one of them. Fair enough. Fair enough, Dave. Thank you for being an honest guy. But yeah, so that's what Dave had to say about it all. And then what happened was then Nick Hausman comes out. Christ almighty, a long episode, folks, but it is worth it. So Nick Hausman responds to Jericho's tweet. So remember in Jericho's tweet to Stephen P. New, he says, hey, Stephen P. New, I don't adhere to an employee handbook. I never have. I've never signed an NDA in my life. That's cap, bro. He's worked on movies and shit. He's signed NDAs. So Nick Hausman, at Nick Hausman, shout out Nick Hausman, he responds, what about the NDAs you make other people sign? Oh, shit. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, what does that mean? You know? And so that got shit going crazy. And then so Nick Hausman says this on his show. After that, so everyone's like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then basically shit gets dug up and people are like, well, Jericho's a sex pest. He's a sex pest. He's one of these guys, right? He's everybody knows it type shit. And I'm sitting there going, what? This is the first time here, and I thought he was happily married, all this shit. People are like, yeah, but he says he has an open marriage. And then this one girl, I don't want to diss this girl, but man, she's a clout chaser on X. I forget her name. I'm not even going to plug it because she just chases clout. And her name's like, and all these wrestlers get in her DMs, right? Like all of them. And she'll release some of what like the Young Bucks have gotten in her DMs, right? And she'll release some of them, like, but she won't show like what MJF messaged her. But she has a DM from him, like you can see, but she won't show what it says. And it's pretty cringe. But Jericho tried to get in her DMs too. And so she's posting like, yeah, he's married, but like his wife wanted me to delete these shits And then another girl came out saying some shit like that too. I don't know. Like there's girls saying that Jericho's like, in order to save his marriage, he's like begging him to delete DMs and shit. So, but then Nick Hausman says this, but that all kind of came out parallel and a little bit after this. So Nick Hausman says this.
Obviously, the Jericho part of it, for a lot of reasons, stood out to me. One of the things that is so disconcerting to me about kind of the universal praise of Jericho, and I'm not going to deny the points that Max made about the impact Chris had in the early days of AEW, but when you have that kind of clout and you have that kind of power, it's very important to use that responsibly. And I just, there are issues with Chris behind the scenes where I know of a lot of people who have been hurt by Chris and his actions.
Damn.
And, it's very uncomfortable to me to see him lauded as often as he is, with only the focus on that, because I do think that there's a lot of questionable stories about Chris that will find their way out over time. And when people are ready to tell those stories, that will cast him in a very different light. I mean, look, Harvey Weinstein won a lot of Oscars. Harvey Weinstein produced a lot of very popular films. Harvey Weinstein is now in jail. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Chris, but your narrative can very quickly turn if you're hiding a lot of skeletons in your closet.
So that is fucking crazy, man. So I'm going, what the fuck, right?
Obviously, the Jericho.
And he compared his ass to Harvey Weinstein, brother. That's crazy, crazy, craziness. So then people go, well, yeah, that's why Kylie Rae quit AEW. That's why she asked for her release, and Tony Khan granted it to her and made her sign a lifetime NDA because Tony was worried about the deal or whatever going down, the TV deal that they had at the beginning there, right? Because they had signed her and then she went away and she retired from wrestling and then came back. And yeah, so it's sorry, I'm just reading responses to this. It's crazy. So anyways, though, basically Kylie Ray, pardon me. I think I said Kylie Ray. So Kylie Ray, she apparently what had went down, this is what I have been able to sniff out and dig up through just asking around and also just reading what people have to say and kind of looking at some of the evidence. But she like, he didn't do anything fucked up, but she did some shit that she regretted or was put in a position that was regrettable to her, and she sort of felt shameful. And so she asked for her release, and Tony Khan made her sign like a very tight-knit NDA in order to do the release. And she does love AEW, and she did like it there. And she's not even like, probably doesn't even hate Chris or anything, but somebody tweeted to her, posted something like, oh my God, or tagged her like, Kylie Ray, like, whatever your trauma, like, we don't want you to go through this or whatever, like, you don't, something, right? And then and it was in response to this Jericho shit. And then Kylie Ray replied to that with a heart emoji, sort of implying like, this isn't just baseless and out of nowhere. And so basically, here's something, so this is like, apparently people knew this story, right? And so here's from like 4chan or some fucking crazy thing, I don't know, but some wrestler who worked in AEW went on there and anonymously, so we can't believe all of this, but these are rumors that have come from other places too, sort of what this guy's talking about here. And I guess here we'll just listen to this. So basically they're explaining like this guy did an AMA in like a Reddit or like a 4chan or some shit, and he basically explains what
Here he is asked, no clue how the shit that happens at those pay-per-view after parties doesn't come out. Why don't you elaborate then? Any relationships that form of the company start getting physical there. Jack and Anna Jay hooked up at one. Sammy and Tenera were already friends but just needed some extra...
So there you go. Like Jack and Anna Jay at one of these after parties. Tony Khan throws these after parties. Jack and Anna Jay hooked up there, apparently. Okay, cool. Obviously that happens, whatever. They work together. And then they said Ty and Sammy hooked up. They just needed, he's saying right now, they needed some liquid courage, but they ended up hooking up, which Like, yeah, I mean, dude divorced his wife that he proposed to or whatever on fucking TV for Ty Mello, not blaming him at all.
Liquid courage, if you know what I mean, to get physical. I heard Cardona Writer's Girl got very handsy with someone at one.
So Chelsea Green was getting handsy with someone there. Ooh, that is fucked up and a weird accusation, and I refuse to believe that. Shout out Cardona and Chelsea Green. But, I mean, were they together then? Let's hope they weren't, because that is not
the
good.
infamous Kylie Rae incident happened at the first
and
one.
then the infamous Kylie Ray incident. So this guy, so it's just someone dug this up as like, yeah, like, do you guys remember this? Because this was already stuff that I guess people knew about, but
so that's why she left. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Can you tell us what you know of Kylie and AEW? I went into it earlier, but it basically something happened with Jericho. I don't think it was rape, but whatever it was, she regretted it bad, and it pushed her over the edge. Here he is asked.
So basically, he's saying that, and I've heard that too, like elsewhere, that basically, like, whatever, right? Just from all of this coming up. And so I think innocent until proven guilty. And Kylie Ray, though, putting the heart under the reply seems kind of like she like I don't know, she's like saying, yes, I'm somewhat of a victim or whatever. I don't fucking know. So at the pay-per-view, they're chanting NDA and Kylie Ray at her, which is absolutely crazy. And then what happens is all of a sudden Ringside News, which they're a crazy fucking organization, but ringsidenews.com, they post, and Steve Carrier or whatever his name is, sorry if I got the name wrong there, but the guy goes, yeah, I think I'm not sure either way. Ringsidenews.com. Anyways, they go, who wants this story? And they post it, and it's a picture of Jericho making out with some random girl, and she posted the shit just flat out on Instagram, and they have an interview with this girl. Where she's like, yeah, Jericho begged me to delete all this shit to save his marriage, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, now this is just getting ugly and fucking dark. Now there's just people out to ruin Jericho. But with that being said, this shit was just posted on a girl's public. He's drunk making out with a girl, and it's just posted on her public Instagram. Like, and it's a screen grab. So it's like, you can't be fucking mad. You can't be mad at fucking anyone for pulling that up for a story. You can't be mad at that because it was public, man. So like, it sucks, but I don't know. And then Nick Hausman, they said he backtracked. There was this big debate. Oh, look, see, he's backtracking. No, Nick Hausman doubled down on Jericho on his creep shit. He just elaborated further, and he actually doubled down on that shit. And so, I mean, it just got crazy. And so, here, I want to see if I can find, because I don't want to play the whole AEW World End press conference. But Tony Khan. So Tony Storm comes out during this press conference and puts this fucking thing on Tony's head, like a fur hat and some fucking glasses. And he's doing this press conference wearing a fucking fur hat and these glasses on his fucking head, looking like a goof. And they're asking him about this. Like, and some adult has to come up to him, some old guy, and go, hey, take that shit off your head, you fucking idiot. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't even notice. And I don't know, Tony Khan, here's a clip of him, like, they ask him about it, and he just waffles on and talks all this bullshit, and he won't just say, yes, we're investigating Jericho, or no, that never happened. He won't say yes or no, and he just babbles and babbles and babbles on, and I kind of broke Twitter with this too. So I put out a tweet that got 25K views, 652 likes, 80 reposts, like all agreeing, 43 comments. And I wrote, and Tony Khan goes and says, AEW is the safest company in history and all this shit. So I wrote, Tony Khan just said AEW is the safest place for pro wrestling. He said in the industry and in history. And I wrote, but the man said that he just feared for his life 3 months ago. And I just wrote, Jesus Christ, this is ludicrous. This is ludicrous. 100%, man. And people just laughed at that, and rightfully so. So this is what he's saying about. Here, he gets asked about it. Let me play it.
Harassment, specifically involving women wrestlers. Without getting too much into the details, or some people may not want their names mentioned.
For asking the question like this.
But there have been a lot of conversations, and there's real concern from wrestlers, from fans, from media alike, about the safety of wrestlers
Tony's
behind the
dressed
scenes. So,
like
what has been done?
He's got a fur hat on and these glasses, and Julia Hart's sitting there, and it's like fucking
specifically to prevent issues like sexual harassment in the AEW locker room, both in the past and going forward, because this is something that should always be looked at. I think it's very important.
It's a great question, Kevin, and I think it applies to everybody in the company, women and men, and it's something we're very serious about, and we've had a policy in place, and certainly I think any time there's anything like that, we would make sure we do everything we can to prevent it. AEW has the best safety record, I believe, of any pro wrestling company in the world. I believe we have the most safe environment. I believe we have the best safety record of any pro wrestling company, and I would hold the record of AEW on safety against any wrestling company in the world. And I think AEW is the safest place for pro wrestling. And if any of our wrestlers ever have a concern, they always have an open line to talk to me. And I believe anybody would sit here and tell you they always can talk to me anytime.
So yes or no?
Concerned about anything.
Someone asked about fucking Jericho.
Came to light came.
They do ask about Jericho, and I give them kudos, some of them, but what kind of bibble babble, like just say yes, or Jericho's never been investigated for this type of shit. No, that's completely false. Thanks for asking. Or yes, this shit something happened. We took care of it. Everything's fine. It's amicable. You can look up Kylie Rae, talk to her. She's fine. Everything's okay. There was a situation though, or don't say whatever you got to do, man. But he's sitting there looking like a goof and saying it's the safest place of all time. So you mean that Eddie Kingston and Andrade both didn't have to smack Guevara? You mean to tell me that Ruby Soho didn't really want to beat up Ty Mello? You mean to tell me that fucking CM Punk didn't make you fear for your life, literally saying it's the safest place to work? It's great. He's saying I feared for my life 3 months earlier on television. Do you understand how this looks bad? Like, Jesus Christ. And then and so Punk wasn't attacking people, and then your EVPs weren't attacking people, and Matt Hardy hasn't fallen off cranes, and fucking Dante Martin didn't fall and have his fucking foot spun 360 around. These things didn't happen, Tony Khan. This is the safest place to work. Are you sure about that? Like, we have Danielson with a broken orbital. Your champion just said he was out there wrestling on painkillers and is fucking super hurt and needs time off. Your hottest angle is between two injured people. This is the safest place to work? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, it's just laughably fucking stupid, man. I can't believe this. It's like a joke. It's like parody at this point. It's absolutely fucking crazy, dude. And, I mean, what are you going to say, dude? Like, what are you honestly going to say?
If there was anything that, came to light to me, I would take it to the disciplinary committee. And, that's how we've been doing it. And I think our disciplinary committee has been doing a great job. And everybody knows they have an open line to me or anybody on that committee.
Like, what are you going to say? Yeah, it's the safest ever. How do you respond? Like, I just wish I was in that room and would have said, so all of these backstage, it's safer than working at, like, where? You know what I mean? New Japan? This shit doesn't happen. You don't hear about this shit happening there or whatever. Like, what? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get what he means. Like, WWE's not safer? I think WWE's a lot safer. You don't hear about situations like this. Like, nearly as frequently, man. It's fucking crazy. And then someone else was like trying to say, like, oh yeah, and WWE's injury list is also greater, but they're not ready for that convo. And it's like, yeah, bro, this is why. In WWE, if you sprain your fucking wrist or ankle, they give you time off, right? I'm sure it's elective if you want to work through it, but they'll give you time off to let you heal that shit so you don't fuck your life up. In AEW, Okay, you fucking get knocked out in the ring and you're forced to finish the fucking match. Okay, you get, you know, you got to be on painkillers MJF style. You get your fucking, like, you know, you got to be Bryan Danielson. He has a fucking broken arm and a broken orbital, and he's in a tournament and wrestling in Japan. Like, it's just levels to this shit. So Tony gets asked about this again.
Tenure in AEW, just
I can't speak to internet and unsourced rumors. I think I spoke earlier to Kevin and mentioned the policy we have in place and the disciplinary process. We've always followed that, and I believe AEW is the safest wrestling company in the world, and we have the best track record for safety, and I would hold it up to anybody. And anytime anybody has any kind of complaint, they have an open door again.
Sorry if you guys can't hear that.
Anyone in the office, and we would look into it.
So it's just like he doesn't give a yes or no answer to anything. He's not decisive about anything. He just doesn't give a straight answer, and it just drives me crazy. It's like, why? Why can't he just say yes or no? You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that presser was absolutely ludicrous. And that was the main takeaway from it. And so for me, I don't know, going into the new year, it's crazy they start their new year off this way. And everybody says, like, yo, it's fucked every time AEW has a pay-per-view or something big happens. It gets squandered with shit in the media, or it gets squandered with someone's got a story to try and bury them. And yeah, it fucking sucks, but I don't know. Can you blame them? Who do you blame for that? You know, it's like, whose fault is that? You know, I don't think it's, oh, there's a smear campaign. Like, that's what people like. They conspiracy theorize, and I've said it for months. You can go look back at the beginning of PWT podcast. I've been saying Tony Khan is a super big conspiracy theorist with all this bot shit and all that, and the fans are like that too.